Hello everybody. Just want to take away some of these other images a minute. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. That's not necessarily right now. Hello everybody. And we've got okay, how many people do we have on right now? Looks like about 25. Hello everybody. Rick Gray, hi. Alex Brown, yes, I had a very relaxing Mother's Day. Didn't really do a lot. Got a nice call from both of my stepsons, and yeah, it was a very, very nice day. Just, it was beautiful outside, nice weather, and I just relaxed. So thank you. And Moondog, hello. 3D Sam, hello. Kansas City. All right. Welcome all. Hello, hello, hello. Richmond, Virginia. Oroville, California. It's 70s out there. Ooh, nice. I think this week is going to be gorgeous here. It's supposed to be just in the 70s, no rain, but I think next week it's going to start getting into the humidity. So, yes, South Carolina. All right. Well, I wanted to, just while people are sort of collecting and getting their notices and stuff, I wanted to share something. This is actually my very first carving. Okay, this is, I didn't even know what kind of wood this was. This is just out of a scrap pile. And it, if you look closely at it, the verdict is that it's hickory. All right. And it's quite pretty grain, but my goodness, this was hard. And I just, took it out of a scrap pile. I had one gouge, and it was about as sharp as a butter knife. And I had a big rubber mallet, and I had a lot of rasps and a lot of sandpaper. And I had gotten a carving book, like a whittling and carving book, and I don't know where it is. I wish I could find it because I'd love to find his pattern. But it was one of the first carving books I got it at a garage sale, and this pattern was on it, and I was so determined to carve. I really wanted to carve. Didn't have any education at all. Didn't, just basically took this book, and I knew I had the tool, the proper tool, just didn't realize that it wasn't properly sharpened. But it's kind of fun. I'm really glad that I kept it. So I would really encourage you to keep your first carving projects, because, someday you may take it out and say, hey, look how far I've come. So what I do, I take this to a lot of my beginning classes, because you've got to start somewhere. And I think just if you look closely at it, I mean, it is pretty rough. And it's, yeah, I mean, you can actually see the chisel mark right there as I wailed into it. And, but, I haven't gone back, and I haven't tried to fix it. I haven't tried to, I think the sort of character of it is what it's all about. So I just, I wanted to share that. We all do have to start somewhere, and I would really encourage you to keep those first ones. You may not be very happy with them at first, and, set them aside. But then you can see as you grow and the progress that you make. So I really would encourage you to keep those first pieces. And I know from what I have heard, and I've never carved in hickory, if this is what it is, from what I understand, hickory is not the best carving wood. Very hard. Oh, I just broke my nail by clipping on that. Oh, not a good start. Well, happy Monday, everybody, as I break my nail. Okay, we've got hello from Michigan. Crane surf. No snow? No, not snow here. I know that some of the places up northeast are getting snow. I know that 3D Sam got snow a couple days ago in Aurelia, Ontario. Beautiful sunshine here at Lake Saskatchewan. William, hi from Arizona. Send some warmth. Sorry, 3D Sam. Woodturn, hi Mary from Coatesville, PA. Great pictures on Instagram with family. Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. You can actually look below the image on the Twitch channel. I've got my Instagram link there. You can take a look at that and see. Put a family photo from when I was, I think, about 13 years old, and then pictures of my mom, who I'm very, very proud of. I'm on, Mom. I don't know if you actually saw that. Mom, are you on? Unfortunately, she doesn't have an account, so she can't comment, but have to get her an account. So we'll get that going so she can actually log in and be part of the conversation. And yes, happy belated Mother's Day. I did talk to you yesterday, but happy Mother's Day again. And thank you for being my mom. Coatesville, PA, great pictures, thank you. Bradford, UK, yes, this is a very good idea to keep first jobs. Yes, yeah, just so you can see a comparison. Troy Downs, I have my acanthus leaf we carved at center for fine furniture. You wouldn't recognize the leaf. Ah, come on. Hilton Head, Bellevue, Nebraska. Hickory makes great handles. Well, I could imagine, because it doesn't move. I mean, it does not shift. So yes. Wombat Dundee. Hello, good day. Good day, mate, from Australia. You know that I spent a year in Australia. I don't even want to say how many years ago. Over 20 years ago. I spent a year. I had a working visa, and I just traveled and explored and wandered around Australia. It was a great time. Just wanted to put a little plug in for my Carving the Acanthus Leaf book. Plug. 311 pages and 16 chapters. Lots of pictures, lots of drawings, and Taito Alba, if you're in there, there you go. He was the photographer of all this. He sat here hour after hour after hour and photographed. I lost track of how many photographs there are in here, but each chapter probably has about 40 or 50 photographs and drawings that go with it. So if you are interested in learning how to carve the acanthus leaf, please go to lostartpress.com or my website. I would be very grateful if you purchase my book. How's that for a plug? I'm not very good at doing that whole sort of marketing, networking thing, so I got to sort of force myself through that. There you go. Thank you for putting the link up. All right, Troy Downs, awesome book. Thank you. I'm from Connecticut. Cold and rainy last week. Snow on Saturday and supposed to get in the 70s this week. New England, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. Yeah, that's crazy snow. Rob Suggs got one. Love it. Thank you. We're just going through the second printing of that book. So we went through the first printing. Now we're going through the second one. CTK, your work speaks for itself. Well, thank you. All right, you know what I'm going to do is going to fix this up and get back there. Oops, hold on. There we go. Trying to get out of there. Let me shift this. Get me out of there. Okay, get me out of the way. All right, so what I did do a little bit was work on the rows a bit and kind of get the height and the shape of it correct. So let me just slide her over so we can see a little bit more of that. I don't know if you can see her. No, we can't. There we go. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go today. I think what I'd like to do, if you look at the shape of her face and her face, this one is got a little bit of a pudgy cheek happening. But you know what? I'm not unhappy with that. I mean, just in the natural process of this, it'll probably thin down anyway, so I'm not really going to worry too much. Now I was working on the eyes the last time, and I think what I'd like to do, you see how her eyes, they're kind of looking down, and as a result of looking down, she's looking kind of this direction. Mine is looking straight on. Um, by her looking down actually causes the eyelids to do a little bit more of a heavy overlap. Mine is pretty much the same. It's a slightly lower underneath, but it's almost on the same plane as the top edge and the lower edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take underneath the eye. I think I'm going to work on that now. I'm going to take underneath the eye and lower it down so that it does give the appearance that that she's actually looking down rather than have that piercing look straight ahead. Okay, Ozzy, I like the chubby cheeks. It looks natural. Well, you know what's interesting? Her face, the marble face, is very classical, that sort of classical Greek face. So this, I agree. I think it's looking a little bit more natural. I don't know how many people have a little tiny pursed lips like that. But I think her lips look a little bit more realistic. But you never know. As I carve along, it'll thin down and it'll change shape. So I'm not going to do too much of that planning. But what I'm going to do right here is I'm taking this number 314 and I am going to try to get rid of some of those tool marks so that I know what the actual final surface is going to be. Because just by smoothing things over, it actually thins it down a bit because there's actually, I'm physically removing a little bit of that thickness. And so I know just because I've carved enough faces before that there's going to be a lot of adjusting still. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, lowering down of below the eye. I think it's still the cheekbones, or this area right below the eye is still high. So I'm going to go ahead and take that down a little bit more. And again, as I was saying, I'm taking that lower edge of the eye and bringing it a little further in so that it kind of tips the view. Okay, let's see here. Wombat Dundee. She does look like she could do with being a bit of a diet to me. Yes, we're putting her on a diet today. It's going to be a quick diet, one of those 1 hour diets. We'll see how it works. Isn't that sort of miracle weight loss? Lose 3 pounds in 1 hour with a chisel. Oh no. Yes, all you need to do is just remove an arm or something. Yes. Okay, so now I'm just rounding that. So I think the eyes themselves aren't rounded enough. It's still, from there to there, is still quite flat. And I think in order to really keep that sort of eyeball shape in there, I really need to take this and tuck it back a bit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more so that we can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is I won't be able to see her. Tell you what I'm going to do. Since I have this, let me see if I can do a little bit of adjusting. With her, with this still shot. Let's see how I'm going to do this. Since we're focusing on the eyes, whoops. Since we're focusing on the eyes and the head, I'm going to do this and then zoom in like that. Okay, now I think you can see more of what I'm looking for. Do you see how that it's sort of that hooded look? So really her eyes are not open very much at all, and I think mine they're open a little bit more than what she has. But if you see this, just a slight ridge underneath, but it's below, it's set in further, I should say, than the ridge here. And then there's this hole here, but then there's a little bump in there to show kind of a light reflection. It's a little hard to see, and then the iris is right in there also. So, oh, what is, I can't remember. Is the iris the big part, and then the pupil is the, yeah. So pupil is the tiny part, the inside part. So it's kind of tricky, but it really again ends up showing shadow that is going to end up showing the dimension. And so when you think about sculpture, there's certain things that you cannot show when you're talking about either wood or the marble, all right? And that is, you can't show color difference. So like the lips, you can't show, when it's just a blend and there's not an actual physical edge on the lips, you cannot show that very easily because it's a color difference that you can tell the difference between the lips and the rest of the cheek. And so that's where you sometimes might need to actually create a little bit harder of an edge to show a corner. And the same thing about with eyebrows. Right now, oh, let's just see. Unfortunately, well, you can see on the still image that the eyebrows don't actually show hair. All right, they don't show. It's just a ridge where the bone goes. Now, realistically, everybody has eyebrows, so you're going to have this sort of fuzz. But what happens a lot of times when you show eyebrows is you end up going a little over extreme, and then they look like these little caterpillars on your forehead. And some people have that kind of eyebrow. But do you see on the still shot there? That's very, very subtle corner that just shows that ridge of bone line, really, of the brow. And then also when you're talking about eyelashes, how in the world do you carve eyelashes? So on hers, on the marble, that actually the lid of the eye actually sticks out a little bit to kind of give more of a shadow, again, to create that illusion of eyelashes. Just really ends up being just more shadow. So yeah, we'll work on this. Wombat Dundee, wish I could find a diet like that. Just grab a chisel. Well, there are so many different diets. Maybe she prefer a high calorie diet. Just your couple smoothing cut have made slight difference. Well, and I think it did kind of thin down her face a bit, but I'm going to work on the eye a bit more, and just, it's this part. I need to get another chisel. Hold on. Here we go. Get back to the number. So I've got all the three number sevens. Number 7, 8, 6 millimeter, 8, yeah, 6. Number 7, 6. Number 7, 10, and the number 7, 14. And that is really going to be the one that is, or the number 7 is going to be the one that is going to do most of that removing. Okay, so there should be the furthest out right in the center, and then it goes in this way and also in that way. And right now, I believe the furthest part out is right there, and it's just simply moving back. So I need to make this part of the eyeball set in a little bit, because it's not really giving that realistic eyeball shape. And then coming around here and just shaping that so that we're getting to be quite the eyeball shape. All right, that's what we're looking for. And then a little bit further in there, you may have to deepen that ridge right there along the lower edge. And then this side really sets in. So if you're going to be doing faces, I really would encourage you to just study people around you. You know, just looking at people, looking in the mirror and say, how does that little subtle area on the side of when the eye ends, and then that little bone, that sort of hole that actually is the bone of that skull, how does that work? How does it transition? And the more you study people, and the more you study the just those very, very subtle details, the more you'll be able to transfer them into your sculptures. I mean, really, all that I have learned when it comes to anatomy, when it comes to carving figures, is just simply from studying and making a lot of mistakes. And, you know, that's ultimately what it's all about, is learn and study and goof up and then say, oh, guess that didn't work out very well, and then try it again. All right, and I think I'm gonna take this now, make it, I'm basically gonna take it and angle it down this way. Define that lower edge again. But if I angle the eye down, all right, so it actually is lower on the lower edge, it's going to look then like she's looking downward, right? It's a little weird looking now because I just carved away any of my dark lines, and so it's sort of staring into space. And I'm going to probably have to get a smaller gouge to fit in here, but right now we're okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get a smaller one here. Okay, let's see here. Graybeard. Hello, Mary. I had no idea you were on Twitch. Hello, Graybeard. I don't know who you are, but hello. Welcome. Yeah, I've been doing this pretty much daily for, I really lost track of it, to be honest. I don't know, 6 weeks? 7 weeks? No idea. How long have I been on? Okay. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and work on this lower one, and we'll see about this. I think one of the trickiest things to do is to make sure that the eyes match. I mean, obviously, if you ever looked at people, their eyes don't usually match perfectly, so that's the excuse I'm using. But, I mean, they kind of have to match, you know, basically the same size and the same shape. Okay, now this is a skew chisel that I'm using. It's a little flat angle chisel, and it allows me to come in like that and then just go right into those corners and like that. And then I can also do slicing cuts like that. All right, I want to do one other thing. This seems quite high right there, so let's see. Graybeard, just a random viewer. Know your courses, and such a really pleasant surprise to find you here. Complete novice carver, so this is magical. Wonderful. Well, welcome. Good to have you. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I'm for this other this other eye here, I'm gonna maybe have to do this off camera because it's just a little awkward to get to, and I'm gonna have to completely switch around. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay, Jack, here, when it looks human enough that it's slightly unsettling to watch the chisel go into the eye. It's true, and that's actually why I really hold off on doing that final piercing of the eye. I really do hold off on that until the very end. And yeah, because it is, especially when she's staring at you. CTK, I've been watching since March 27th, and you had been on for several days before that, so you're in the 7th week at least. Woohoo! And I don't see me stopping. I'm having way too much fun. All right, so it's gonna work on thinning some of this down and just leveling off all of those little tool marks. Now I do want to say it is gonna be my husband's and my 20th anniversary on June 3rd. So there's going to be that week, probably June, I believe it falls on a Wednesday. So I'm going to end up trying to take that whole week and just have a little bit of a break. And we'll see if I'm able to. But we're going to try. Hopefully we'll be able to actually go somewhere, but I'm not really sure how that's going to happen, or if we're going to be able to go anywhere. So yes, so just keep in mind, if you are watching this daily, that is going to be a time when I'll put notices up on the Twitch channel, but that week I probably will not be doing a live stream. Now this Thursday I was going to be having Dave Fisher as a guest, and he does green wood carving and bowls and spoons and things. But unfortunately, he also is a high school teacher, and I think he sort of realized that it's a lot of work being a high school teacher in this day and age where you're basically online the entire time. And so anyway, he's feeling a little bit pressured with that, and plus the school year is almost finished. So anyway, he's going to be a special guest in June sometime. So that's happening, and I'm talking to a local carver who does huge things. He does like whales and stuff like that. I'm going to be in just massive sculpture, outdoor sculptures. I'm going to be speaking with him tomorrow. I'm going to try to see if he can come on Thursday this week. So working on that. Next Tuesday, Jojo from Birmingham, she carves spoons and also carves clogs. I spoke to her last week, and she's just a sweetheart. And so she's going to be on next Tuesday, because I think Thursdays, which I normally try to do the guests, Thursday she's got other things happening. So let's see, let me just make sure I've got all the schedules right. So I am lining up. I've got about a month of schedules. Then Olivia O'Connor, who carves rocking horses, she is out of Melbourne, Australia. And so that's going to be one of those things I'll have a little bit later in the day, so she doesn't have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then what? Oh, then there's a week off that I'm escaping. And then my friend Ronnie Sexton, who is also out of Melbourne. And I have known Ronnie, studied with her back in at the City and Guilds College. And we spoke on a Skype Saturday morning for about 2 hours, just catching up, because I haven't spoken to her for a while. We studied together and met, and she was studying also traditional wood carving at the City and Guilds when I was there. And just really wonderful to catch up. So that'll be sort of like a reunion for us. We'll just sit here and chat and talk about all these, past times and fun, and just, yeah, it'll be like reminiscing about old times. But she does a lot of really big sculptures. She was trained traditionally, but has sort of moved into doing more more of her own style of carving. But I think her website is Ronnie Sexton anyway. And maybe if you Google Ronnie Sexton wood carving Australia, but I think it's something like Ethereal Studios. So that's so she's going to be on talking about her work and possibly doing some demonstration. We're just sort of finishing up what she's going to end up showing and sharing. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. It's been really fun to get back in touch with people. I haven't talked to her for a while. And Olivia O'Connor actually spent a couple weeks in the US last year, the year before. I can't remember when that was, but she hung out in my shop for a week and learned kind of the basics of carving. So she's doing a lot of carving now, but she makes these gorgeous rocking horses. Just really, really neat stuff. Okay, let's see here. So, Tupon got Jack. She's getting, yes, LASIK surgery. Yeah, you can see a little bit better. All right, Jack Frost, the uncanny valley situation. Ah, yes, the getting into a hole there. All right. I suppose we could let your husband have you for a week. Thank you. That's so thoughtful of you. Okay, hello from Turkey. Have a good stream. I find you on YouTube and see you on Twitch. Gorgeous too. Thank you. I bought my first wood carving set a few days ago. Thanks for the informative videos. Well, thank you. Glad you are enjoying them. All right, we're giving her a little bit more shape around the chin. And along this way. Yeah, as she goes over the edge here, it's just a little harder to access. So bear with me while I just try to get to her. And I think the marble one, her chin is quite a bit more pointed, and mine is getting a little, I don't know, a little bit more soft. Okay, I think with the sides, this side and this side of her hair is looking better and more even. Maybe a little bit further in, but I think it's getting more even on that side. And then also this is sticking out a little bit, so I can do that a little bit more. Now I have to put her on the spot here. 3D Sam, where are you? She is really good at doing this like 3D imaging on printers. So she takes various photographs of like let's just say the sculpture of the original Lady Jane, and she's been making this 3D image on her computer based on the photographs, and so it's really coming out awesome. I think I need to send some photographs of the back so that she can see what that ends up looking like, but it's pretty amazing what you can do. And then once you have it into the program, then you can actually print it on a 3D printer. It's pretty amazing stuff. I wouldn't have a clue how to start any of that. I understand 3D like this, but not that. Okay, I think, you know what? Oops. Yep, I realized I was just off the screen there. I'm gonna go ahead and work on the flower. So let me just back up a little bit so we can see. Actually, you know what? Let's change this one. Let's do that. So I'm gonna work, just focus on the flower right there. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. I guess I can move in now, although it's not in the same direction. 3D Sam. In this case, I'm sculpting in virtual clay from the photos. Okay, so yeah, it's mind-boggling, but I'll wait till you're comfortable in me sharing it. But I wanna share it once you got it. But I'll send some more photographs to you this afternoon so that we can really get it accurate. Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. Just to make it a little bit more easy to... how do I do that? I want to spin that around. How do I rotate that? Transform. There we go. Rotate. Ha! There we go. Ha! I knew there was a way. Okay, so that is going to actually match the positioning. All right, that's going to make a little bit more sense. But this is basically the opening of the rose is going to be right there, and then the leaves are going to be here. And so then the top of her dress is going to be right there. So I've already measured that based on, you know, position of the chin down and the position of basically this little area right in the cleavage area. All right, that's going to be the area there. So then we've got a leaf that's kind of extending down into there. So, but if you look at the leaf, it's really very close to her skin. So I don't need to leave a huge amount of wood for that. But it's the rose here that I need to do a little bit more really removing of this. There's quite a bit of material to remove yet. Okay, where are we? All right. It's amazing what can be done on computers now. And then once it's done, once the image is in there, then it can be put onto a 3D printer, and you can have Lady Jane there as many times as you want. to shift this over a little bit so you can see. There we go. Okay, now you can see this. There's the glue line there, and it's actually kind of looks like part of the grain, sort of. But I'm really not going to worry too much about it. It's a nice clean line, and it will be okay. It's part of the deal of having something where you need to glue it together to get that full thickness. Okay, just want to start to round off that shoulder. Okay, now what I'm going to do, because the rose is sort of sideways, all right, at the opening of the rose is right here. So I'm going to end up taking and just doing a little softening and creating the edge. Now for a while here, the rose is going to be quite a bit bigger than what it needs to be. Okay, and then take this down because it really does a pretty aggressive undercut. And then so if the center of the rose is right there, and then this is rounded back, but it sort of tapers back. So that's the inside of it, and then just it's going to end up being kind of flat on the top, but I want to get rid of that, right, to really start shaping this. I just want to do one thing before I go too far, is I'm going to measure basically the position between the chin and the top of the rose on her. And Oh, must have done that recently because it's pretty close there. All right, so there you go. Big amount to take away. So right there is the edge of the rose. So all of that needs to come off. It's kind of an awkward position. I need to use my mallet. Okay, so from here, she's rocking and rolling here. What should I put under her? Okay, so as long as I get this, just a basic general shape of the rose, because what I'm going to do then is going to be the center there, and then there's going to be all the little petals, right? So you're coming like that, and then it's going to come like that, and then just do that sort of rotation part. And I'm going to probably have to spend a little bit more time making sure that all of these, the petals all work and all of that. Okay, so that's basically going to be the position of the rose though. And then there's going to be leaves here. All right. You still out there? Okay, now as I'm looking at this, there is going to be, and I'd say looking straight on, right about there, there's going to be a little leaf, and this all can be adjusted. I mean, that's how hers is based, but you know, a leaf is a leaf, and I'm not going to really worry too much about it. Now the stem is kind of going like this, and then it's tucking right in there. So that's basically going to be the stem coming in there, and then there's going to be a little stem coming out, and then a little leaf like that. And actually I'm looking at the leaf that is there, and it's quite small. I might end up making it a little bit bigger, more like a full size one, like the other ones that are up on top. So then we've got, so this is the edge, and then we've got a leaf there, and it's not perfect, but that's going to kind of bump up into the bottom of the flower. And then there's another leaf that is going to be there, and then there's another one. Actually, it's broken. If you look at this right here, this one is actually broken right there. So I'm going to go ahead and make another one. Okay, so because I've got so many tool marks on this, it's very hard to draw a very accurate line. All right. Yes, we were just mesmerized. Okay. Well, that's good. I haven't lost anybody. Albus, you work with what type of wood, Mary? This is basswood. And also, while carving, are we being careful to grain direction all the time? Yes. Basically, you know, I've got this high spot right here, so I'm going in that direction and then that direction. So basically, it's the grain is going like this. And yes, you do need to be very, very aware of grain direction. So all downhill. If I tried going up, I'd be going straight against the grain. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in here. Oh no, maybe not. I don't have, where's my V-chisel? See, this is what happens. I cleaned up my shop a little bit and I put all of my tools away. Can never find any of them then. Right, and then come this direction, and then the stem comes out like that, and then there's a little, so all I'm really doing is drawing with my V-chisel at this point, because it's so bumpy, and it's got such a rough surface. And, you know, the thing is, I could spend a lot of time smoothing the surface so that I could lay it out nicely. Or I could do what I'm doing here, since it all is still a little bit vague about what's happening here. Just going to go and take my V-chisel around it and then worry about that at another time. You know, you can spend a lot of time kind of prepping the surface and making sure it's all very smooth and everything, when it's going to end up being messed up along the way and carved and reshaped and a lot of different things happening. So I don't really do a lot of that kind of preparing that final surface. So do you see right now, and actually what it does is it gives a little bit life. You know, this is definitely lower than this, and we got a little bit of an overlapping happening. This one is going to be a little bit lower, kind of leaning down, right? And then this is the edge of the rose. And really define that as a hard edge. Okay. And this needs to come down quite a bit there. Now I want to check out one little thing, and that is using just this piece of wood. I want to see, let's make sure she's in the right position, what the height of the actual arm is. So right there. So from there to there, so it's pretty close. It's about right at that, very close to that glue line. Talking about this, the position of the top of the arm. All right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So basically the height of the arm there, positioning it right there, and so it's going to go a little bit in. So that actually might be a perfect joint line right there. So maybe I'll just leave that, because then because it's an inside corner, that glue line will kind of blend a little bit. So we'll see if that's going to end up cooperating. All right, we got some rattling things happening. Okay, help us. I understand. Yeah, so if you've carved wood before, definitely grain direction is a huge part of it. Basically downhill. And if you are familiar with my online school, there's a lesson that I have there as part of the free membership, and it is on carving a donut. And it really is, it's a great lesson in kind of figuring out grain direction and understanding what directions you can and can't go. And it's what my teacher started me on years and years ago, and it was the first lesson that I was assigned to do, and it was actually a really, really good lesson, and I still go back to the donut. I'm sure some of you probably have carved the donut. If you're a member of the school, or if you've seen it, that lesson on YouTube, it really is an excellent way to understand that. All right. Oh my goodness, it's late. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna finish up a bit. I think we're getting this part down, the rows. So now I can really finish shaping the neck area. And the thing is, I couldn't really do any of this detail until I knew exactly where the rose was going to be, where it was going to be positioned. So it's just really just subtly tucked into her top right there. And then I have to lower down all the wood around on the neck, and then make sure that this whole area, subtle area, all right, so we've got a little sort of dimple in there, and then it arcs. Let me back up a bit. Ooh, maybe not. Let me just tip it up a little bit. And then there's kind of a corner there. It's like the tendon here is moving kind of in that direction there, creating a little bit of a corner right there. So that's right here. So I need to pay attention to that, and I need to make sure as I go that the width from here to here and from there to there stays the same. She's still a bit thick-necked right there, and probably a little bit more on that side. And so yeah, I think getting the rose positioned is really important. I may not do the details on it yet, but at least get it in the right position, and then that right shape where you've got it kind of almost like drooping over, but definitely sideways, so sort of pointing in this direction. So yeah, I think we're getting there. And as I start to do more of the cleaning up of her face and smoothing out of her face, I think it's going to end up thinning down naturally. So, all right. Well, Nilu, I carving a dozen donuts. I think you might have it by now. Graveyard, no donuts, but it sounds like it's the 3D equivalent of the letter R in sign carving. Ah, yes. One letter that delivers it all. Exactly. You've got the straight parts and you've got the curved parts. And yeah, usually actually I end up showing how to carve the letter P when I do like a quick demonstration of letter carving, because exactly, you've got the straight and then you've got the curve, and it pretty much covers everything. So, all right. Cynthia, good evening. Good evening. You must be in Europe, I'm guessing, if you're saying good evening. All right. Wombat Dundee, thank you. And go to sleep. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning there. All right. Good to have all of you join again. Thank you. And we'll see you see you tomorrow, same time. And I do feel like she's actually getting somewhere. And soon, I don't know if it'll be this week, if I continue on, but I really am looking forward to flipping, taking her off this backer board and turning her over and working on the back side and then working on finishing the scarf. Yeah, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna end up clamping it. And yeah, I'll I'll let you know how I'm gonna clamp it when I figure out how I'm gonna clamp it. All right. See you tomorrow, and have a good rest of the morning if you're on the West Coast. Have a good evening. And if you're in Australia, go to sleep sometime. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Same time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Bye-bye. Happy carving.